Well, folks, what is happening? Welcome to Mentality Monsters. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by our King's Competitions. And we are joined here today by the man, the myth, the legend, Colin Geddis.
Yeah.
It's finally got him in.
Thanks for having me.
He is here. Bro, thank you very much for coming on.
No worries at all.
It's great to have you here. We've basically done a podcast before the podcast
Yeah,
even
I
started there.
It's always the way.
Always the way. But how are you keeping anyway? How's life?
I'm good, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, just the usual.
Just usual. Wedding next weekend?
I've got a wedding next weekend, yeah, squeezing that in amongst the gigs and everything
All the
else.
commitments. Are you like gigging as well next weekend or?
Not next weekend, but I've just got things like laveries and stuff, which is just every single week of my life till the end of time.
You run that, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that like?
At the minute, it feels like the best club in the UK, maybe, and I've heard it from other people, and, you go to a gig there and we're used to it now, but then you go anywhere else and you're like, oh, this isn't half as good as Lavery. So the gigs themselves are unreal, but the back end of that, the admin and stuff is the stressful bit usually.
Where's the best crowd outside Belfast?
Glasgow.
Yeah. They're very
similar.
Very similar. Like it's
you can do a Tuesday gig in Glasgow and it feels like a Saturday night. Everyone's just on the rip and up for it.
I'd say they'll get a lot of our humour as well and the kind of stuff.
Of course,
like we would joke about.
I'm nearly done with the our humour thing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I've
gigged in loads of places and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter?
Yeah, unless you're mentioning like a specific road somewhere, funny's just funny,
Where's the worst crowd you've been?
The worst crowd?
Or the roughest crowd?
The roughest? Probably like years ago, the likes of Lurgan and stuff like that,
I can understand why.
Anywhere can be rough.
Mickey Bartlett's fault too as well.
It's 100% his fault.
100%.
Yeah.
Like him just standing there just shooting stuff in the background in the shadows.
No, but over the years, like the gigs have got better and obviously like comedy's boomed a bit over here.
Yeah.
So people know how to act a wee bit better, they know what they're there for.
Would you say the NI comedy scene in UK and Ireland is the best like comedy scene right now?
I mean, if you look, depends what you're looking at. Like, there aren't as many sort of professional headliner comedians in Belfast as there would be in like London. But if you're talking like pound for pound, the amount of those comedians that are doing like the arena and stuff, and have big podcasts and everything, pound for pound, it might be. I mean, the Cat Laughs Festival was in Belfast like last weekend, and there was loads of comedians coming over from everywhere, and 2 or 3 times I heard like I might just move here.
Serious?
Yeah.
Fuck.
So
it shows the kind of level that Belfast is at in the crowd and stuff.
Yeah, well, they're watching from the outside, going like, "What's going on over here?" Or even from Dublin, like Dublin comedians going like, "Why is there like 10 of you boys doing arena shows and like tours around America and all this here stuff?"
That's
it's crazy.
Fucking class.
Yeah,
I think Andrew Ryan's quality.
He is quality.
Andrew Ryan is he's so funny. Like just his because I think he's got a specific type of humour as well, and I think it's fucking phenomenal.
Have you seen the perm?
No.
He got his hair permed.
Did he?
I thought it was a Snapchat filter, but he's got his hair permed.
You know what's Bob like when you think it's a filter?
I was like, just have fun with whatever's left, and I have no hair. So
here, I'll be on my way out soon. Like strong. Like this is just hairspray right here. This is holding on well, holding on.
You sneeze and it just hits the floor.
Oh fuck! Seeing I sweat in the gym or anything like that, or like I go for a sauna, I'm not the same for about 4 or 5 hours after. You can just see through.
Maybe I'm lucky because I was like in a car crash when I was about 19, and it gave me the full Zidane. Like I hit the windscreen, and it just skinned the top of my head, big giant slice down the middle, and I shaved it because I had a bald spot with stitches on it. So I shaved the rest, and I was about 19, and I just never let it grow back since then. And I am bald, but I was just like, I've looked like this for a long time.
Fuck, if you call that lucky, fuck you're a lucky man.
You don't want to be hanging on to it, you know what I mean? You need like a good event to just be like, I've no hair now.
One of like all the lads were away there on a stag last week, and I just saw the group chat, and one of them he was hanging on with his hair, and it was proper thin at the top, like kind of like fucking loads of hair to side in the back, thin at the top, and he just fucking shaved it all off.
Good man.
You gotta respect it. Like I was just like, here.
You have to jump right in. There's no point in hanging
See, he's
on
got a
to
kid
it.
and all now, like, so he's done the fucking hard work. So it's
That's it. Yeah.
he's got a kid.
Well, I'm the
That's
type
him.
of fella where it's like, would hair add anything to whatever the fuck's going on here? Like,
Do you think you could rock the bald head and bald face?
yeah, I mean, yeah. It's a lazy. It's probably like I have to shave my head a few times a week. If I could do away with that, even
Should we get the lasers?
just laser the whole head.
Just laser the whole head. Sorry.
Someone offered me, do you know where they tattoo like in the pores of your head?
Yeah.
They offered me that for free, and I was just like,
No. Why the fuck?
I'd rather just look bald than mental. You know what I mean?
100%. So, bro, we'll go back to the very, very start here. Just
Okay.
what you were like as a young person and where you're from.
I'm from. We were chatting about it earlier. Grew up in like Newton Abbey sort of direction on the Doak Road.
On the Doak
In
Road.
between, like, yeah, you're kind of in between, like,
The in-between part.
Rathcoole and Mugstown and all that sort of stuff. Grew up there, but went to school in Ballyclare, you know, so was heading out into the countryside every day.
You
to go
were
to school.
just exploring there before you actually moved to the countryside in
That's
the future?
it, yeah, just dipping my toe in.
You've always been a culture, like a part-time culture, maybe?
Part-time cut. Well, I do like it, you know. Whenever we first moved down to the countryside, I was kicking and screaming, you know, I was like, I don't know about this, you know,
Shit.
and then
It smells like shit.
it smells like shit, but then you get used to the space and everything, and you're like,
Yeah.
this is great. I can just fucking drive straight up the front of my house and dump the car anywhere and not have to, you know, like find a space on your street
like, no
or
one's
something.
going to give a fuck about it. Like.
Nah, so it's good. So yeah, went to school there. What was it like as a kid?
Like what? Young Colin.
Young Colin. Just I don't know, nothing particularly notable. Like
Like, would
sporty,
you have went
like,
out and been on the train, caused a bit of
oh,
chaos?
of course, like stealing drink out of the house and all that sort of business when you're young.
As you do.
Not a lot of drugs going on, really.
Nah.
You know, it was mainly just booze and
What was the drink of choice?
whatever you could get.
Whatever you
Whatever you could get, you know what I mean?
Didn't give a fuck.
We were like pouring some sort of cheap vodka into like WKDs and all to try and spike them up,
Jesus.
doing all that sort of business. And then, you know, when I was in school playing a lot of rugby, and the rugby drinking scene is pretty hardcore too. Like,
Yeah, I'd say so.
you play even at that age, you know what I mean? And I was playing with lads that were older than me because I've been about this size since I was about 14. So it's like you end up playing with what seem like men, even though they're like 18. And they, you know, you play a match and then go around somebody. They were doing all that, you know, like taping when you could get a 3 litre of cider,
Yeah.
like taping it to your hand and all. And you had boys drinking 3 litres of cider before they went on the drink, like,
Fuck, no way.
you know. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of that. Yeah, I was just playing football and eventually judo when I went to like high school.
See, you've played like rugby and stuff like that there, so you've been in and around it. See, when I think of rugby, just coming from Belfast, it seems like a very posh sport. Like,
Well, that's
rugby.
yeah.
Would you say it is a posh sport?
If you're posh, yeah. But it depends. It literally depends what country you're in. Do you know what I mean? Like Irish rugby, it's either posh boys or farmers. Like that's kind of what you've got.
100%.
You know, if you were talking about English rugby, it's probably just posh boys.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I like the guy who plays for England, Ellis Genge. He's from, you know, kind of from the streets, like, and that's a big deal. You know, they're like, you shouldn't be around these fucking toughs. You know.
Well, that's the ghetto right there.
Yeah,
That's a-
exactly.
That's a peasant.
But yeah, but I don't know. I went to Ballyclare High, and you know, you're built a certain way. I'm not going to be playing fucking, you know, badminton or
Yeah.
anything. You're just kind of like, oh, you might be good at that, and then you try that. And actually, I was probably shitter at rugby than I was at like football or judo or even did gymnastics when I was younger.
you?
Yeah, and but I just liked it more. I just liked the impact. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the
See, if
physicality.
you had to go back to one now, at a football or like a rugby, and actually give it a go, what one do you think you could do?
Rugby.
Rugby.
Yeah.
aye. Well, here,
Yeah.
you never know, man. You as a holding midfielder, pulling the strings, man. I
Do
can
you
see
know,
it.
I actually remember I was playing football when I was like really young, and I remember like injuring myself, like rolling my right foot, like my ankle, and it made me play with my left for about a year, and then I just became this like weird, you know,
foot.
yeah, I could play. I was like playing on the wing and all, as this fucking like chunky guy just bashing through people. And it's fucking
Lads just not expecting you to be running up and down the wing, and then you're just
Yeah.
bombing past them. Did Shane ask you to play that there match there?
no.
Nah,
No,
it's bad crack, lad.
I wouldn't have done it anyway. No, those days are fucking long
Are they gone?
Like, they're long gone, yeah.
When did they stop?
When I started playing rugby.
They started playing rugby?
Yeah, I was just like, this is more my speed here. You know?
Yeah. Stop for 40 seconds and then like go again.
Bursts, yeah.
Burst, love it. The short burst.
Even to this day, like if I take myself to, you know, there's a gym, like a wee shed at the in-laws' house where we have all the gym equipment. All the training that I do is kind of like very similar to rugby. It's like bursts on things and like assault bikes and then walk around for 2 minutes. And then, you know.
I'd be the exact same. Just vote, like, see, as soon as I've done a set, on my phone for about 2 or 3 minutes, back again, and then I go to myself, stop doing this. But I never do. Like, you grew up, like, what age, like, you know, if you don't mind me asking?
38.
38. So you grew up fucking post kind of like as a teenager and stuff like that there in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up kind of like in a post-conflict kind of time in this country here? Was there like were you ever involved in any trouble growing up or anything like that there?
No. It was so funny, like right where we lived, there was stuff you'd be watching on TV and it was like half a mile down the road. You know, like all those Drum Cree protests and everything. Other like loyalist areas would fucking basically shit on their own doorstep, like tear the place apart, and we'd be watching on like you'd be watching on TV, and then you'd be like say like Clockfern Corner or something was like just down the road from us, and you'd be watching on TV, and you'd look down the street, and you'd see the smoke down the road, you know, and then but you're kind of just right in the middle where you're like you're not really seeing any of it, just you're like, oh, there's no traffic today, you know, but just things like that, really, nothing.
Like, would you never have been exposed to anything like that there, like when you were growing up?
Not really. Not really. I suppose it was like in between two fairly big loyalist areas.
Yeah.
But my parents never fucking
really give a
I just
fuck.
remember everyone being poor. That's all I remember. You know, it was like there was no, you know, you'd get like parades and stuff going past the odd time. But other than that, very almost like isolated. And then it was going to school fucking somewhere else. You know, it wasn't going to school locally. So I kind of just missed it, you know.
See, that's one thing which I love about all the comedians. Yeah. They don't give a fuck at all, like.
No.
About, like, no one gives, like, there's, I don't think there's a political bone or fucking political thought in anyone's kind of fucking mind.
I think, like, you know, the nature of it is you don't want to commit really to anything.
Yeah.
You just, you're like, you kind of are on the fence, kind of observing everything if you want to, like, draw from it for material. But yeah, no one seems to give a fuck. And even within the comedy world, like, once you're like an established comedian, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I don't really think sometimes, like, I do the podcast with Aaron. He's 8 years younger than me. But it never comes up, you know, it's never like, you know, I'm your fucking big bro here. Like, you know, it's just like, once you're in the door, it doesn't matter what the fuck you are, who you are, where you're from or anything. You're a comedian now, so that's more important than anything.
You're just a comedian, and then that's the final fucking thing there, like.
Yeah.
See, when you were starting off in comedy, was any of your material drawn from the stuff that used to happen here?
No, not really. I think like my generation deliberately fucking took a big swerve around it, just because, you know, you'd had this sort of hole in the wall gang and stuff like that, and everyone thought that's what comedy from here was about. Yeah, and especially with the young comedians that I was hanging about with, they're sort of like, oh, fucking, he's still going on about this and that, and whatever, and they were trying to swerve it a bit. But now the more mature I am now, I'm like, how important the likes of Hole in the Wall gang and Keelty and all were, you know. But you sort of dip in and out a wee bit. You can get like a few cheap laughs or a few Catholic Protestant bits or whatever. But for the most part, it's just like a generation of comedians inspired by American comedians, probably. Yeah. So it's just like, get up, talk about yourself, make a few jokes. Just do
Who would you have based your early material off if there was like an American or a British like comedian or even Irish one?
Because I was never, I'd obviously seen a bunch of stand-up, but I wasn't like a diehard stand-up fan. Yeah. Never really thought about it. There's plenty of like programs I watched, like there was comedy shows I was really into, like The Office and stuff like that. But
love The Office.
The OG one.
US or
well, but they're both good, but at the time the Brit one, like
the UK one.
Because I remember watching it, and I wasn't even old enough to really understand what was going on. I was like, I just like the awkward vibe of this, and I don't know why, but kept watching it it was on fucking weekly at that point. But I remember watching you ever see Human Traffic?
Yeah.
The bit where he sits down and watches Bill Hicks on the TV. And I remember seeing it because obviously like every household had the Billy Connolly DVDs and the, you know, Lee Evans and all this here shit. And everyone was kind of, you know, for want of a better term, like clownish, you know, like a silly guy who does comedy and jokes or whatever. And then I seen Bill Hicks on this thing. And I'm like, oh, this guy looks like a fucking rock star. That was the first time I'd ever seen like a cool comedian. And I was like, man, that's fucking mad. And then just went down full wormhole. And but by the time I got round to doing stand-up, the influences were probably like, you know, Bill Burr and people like that, you know, that I'd seen.
See, when you were in school, like, did you have an idea of this is what you were going to go into, like the comedy game and
not at all.
Like, what were you planning on doing in school?
Big sort of arty guy, you know. So I was like, more so like graphic design.
Yeah.
You know, I was obsessed with fucking Banksy and making stencils and branding and, you know, cool shit like that. And then, so I went to like a foundation year in the art college because in Belfast, and they told me like if you complete this, you'll get into whatever you want in this university. So I did that, and it was like fucking me and another fella and about 24 girls, you know, just like
fantastic.
Not as good as it sounds. Not in an art college. Just a load of gothy witches. But
casting spells, your voodoo doll.
Yeah, but did that and then didn't get into the course that I was supposed to be doing, which was like some sort of graphic design thing.
The fucking idea.
They lied to me, bastards. And then sort of a last minute panic. I forget what way it works now, but you know when you apply for places and then spots pop up in other unis. Ended up going to Derry then, to McGee, to do design and communication.
Do you live up there as well?
I did live up there, yeah. It's just it's weird, like it's, you know, you're like, my uni days fucking banging it. I was like, fine, you know what I mean? Just not much to do up there either.
I know, see bar drinking, there isn't much to do at all, like it's a fucking...
That's it, like, and sure, everyone just went home at the weekend anyway, like, so...
Would you have went home, or would you...
Come home to go to work. This is fucking depressing.
Student life, it can be dark as well.
I didn't enjoy... The day I, like, was done, I was fully ready to leave, like, you know, as soon as I graduated, I was like, see you later.
How long, like, was your course?
3 years, but, you know, at that point I'd done 4 because of the foundation thing. But it kind of, you know, everything happens for a reason, you know. But, like, I would never have, like, made a video had I not had to go do this other course.
Yeah.
Because it was, the one I was going to do was, like, strictly graphic design. The other one was, like, do a bit of animation, do a bit of graphic design, you know, move an image, do different things. Yeah. And that's where I, like, made, like, my first video, and I was like, oh, I fucking quite like this, you know.
Coming to the first videos, like, was that the like Fighter stuff, or did you make stuff previous to that?
I Am Fighter was like the second video I ever made. So the first one was like, hilariously, it was for like a final piece in uni, like a dissertation type thing. You had to do a big written part, but it was a mock documentary like The Office because I was obsessed with that and Spinal Tap and all that shit. It was a mock doc about guys trying to replicate viral videos. And
was this based like Belfast, like people, or people from here?
No, it was just nondescript students from here. It was just the guys I live with, like, you know, and we were trying to, the whole sort of little storyline in this thing was like, this is back in the day, like, Charlie Bit My Finger and all these videos that were like doing the rounds, and we were trying to like replicate them to get famous, basically. That was the storyline in this wee mock doc. Is it still out there? I don't know. I might have put it on private or something on the YouTube. You have to find that. I think that would be fucking class. Yeah. See the I Am Fighter stuff, Barry the Blender. Is that based off someone, or did you just come up with this mad it was well, like we were chatting before, I was always just not a big sport guy when it comes to like watching stuff, but always watched MMA. Yeah. And it was kind of like just that thing of just like starting with what is available to you at the time. So I had a wee JVC camcorder, and my dad's garage had a steel beam in it with a punch bag. And I was kind of just like, I'll just make something about like a guy who sort of thinks he's hard, but he's not. Yeah. And everyone knows someone like that. And then, you know, like the accents and stuff were kind of just pulled in from everywhere. So for like, I mean, it still hasn't really stopped to this day, but people will be like, where are you from and all? Where are you fucking from? And then like some real creepers would be like, I seen in that video, like out the bedroom window, you know, is the like security hut for Nortel factory. and I know exactly what that is and all. And I'm like, all right, bro.
Aye.
Fucking
MI5.
Yeah.
Fucking looking far too
Jonathan
deep
Creek
into
over
it.
here. Where was it? Yeah, so we just decided to do that. That was the second video I
Was
ever
it
made.
you and someone else doing this?
Yeah, it would have been my mate's wee brother.
Class.
Dan, yeah.
That's fucking it's like it is probably one of the most iconic characters in the last fucking 30 years like in this place. Like it's like, do you still get talked to about it like today?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I'll ever shake it off. Like I did those videos, and then, you know, if you're like a naturally sort of creative person, you do want to move on. You're kind of like, I'm bored with it. Yous are bound to be bored. You might not think you're bored of it, but you will be.
Yeah.
Type thing. And then the circle of people that I was in, because I was getting a wee bit of interest from like BBC and stuff, so I would go to a wee bit part in a sketch show, and then I would meet like Mickey Bartlett and Shane and everybody, and then I was hanging about with them, and they were doing stand up, which it never crossed my mind ever. I didn't even think it was a possibility or any of that sort of stuff. And I was just hanging about with them, going to gigs, and then it just sort of became an inevitability. Like, you're probably gonna do this.
Yeah.
And then I spent fucking the next 10 years trying to shake off the Barry the Blender thing. Like, you're coming to gigs going like, it's just stand up. There's no character stuff. This is what you're coming for.
Do you ever see the way Daniel Radcliffe is like obviously Harry Potter?
Yeah.
But he seems to be in where people just like look at him like if he's in another film they go, it's Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Were you ever scared that you'd just be by the blender?
I probably still am.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a fucking white work van somewhere, I'm still by the blender, like when they're shouting out the window, you know. But I'm lucky because, you know, over the years, like you know, like I have people who've just seen that, and then maybe just seen like another character that I've done, or they just started like listening to General Banter when I started that.
Yeah.
And I've had like people sort of following or listening at like different stages. So there would be people that currently are like Bomb Squad fans that would have no fucking idea that I ever did that, you know. And then at the same time, people who think like, oh, what are you at these days, you know, type thing. You know?
And they have no fucking clue about it.
They've no clue.
Bomb Squad's fucking massive. Like, see, you're like I forget his name, but that American
The
who give you
boxer?
he give you the shout out.
Oh,
on
Bert
his-
Kreischer, yeah.
Yeah, they got theirs fucking.
Yeah, that's mad, and that's
class.
That's the whole algorithm thing just working well for you, you know, that just popped up for him the way something would pop up for me or you, like, and he's just like, oh, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, see the entire creative process of actually doing this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you expect it to blow up as quick as it did?
I was pretty confident because when you're in the, like, I was podcasting too early, probably.
Yeah.
Like, I think I got in before anyone even thought. Like, I can remember doing podcasts and telling people, like, listen to this podcast, and they'd be like, what's a podcast? There was no Spotify or iTunes or any of that shit. It was literally like an embedded sound file on a web page. You know, you'd have to go on the computer and press play. This is back in, like, I think it was like Audio Picnic or something we called it. And there was, even then, you know, people were checking it and being like, this is like 25,000 listens on this or something.
It's class.
Which was crazy back then, but people didn't really know what podcasts were. And then I had started doing General Banter, and it was taking, it was, I mean, up until like maybe about 6 months ago, that's when Bomb Squad got as big as General Banter was. It's rocketed on past, like, but it was doing pretty well. But we took basically like, all the equipment, all the experience, all the knowledge, and just started a new thing. And obviously, like, you're carrying over a lot of listeners.
Yeah.
And that's going to spike on the charts and everything. So it seemed like, fuck, that really blew up for you. And you're like, it's kind of just like a readjustment in the background with a new brand, and nothing's changed for me. I still go to my office to record.
Wrote in, will General Banter ever make a comeback?
I'd love to. I mean, if I fucking didn't have to sleep, I would do it. Yeah, you know, it's just you just get too many things on your plate, and you're like, how much talking shite can I do? You know, I would love to. I mean, it's always there. You know, what I'd love to do is probably one with my wife. You know, because they always did well. You know, everyone liked when she came on, but that would be the easiest way to do it, which would be, you know, do it at your house with your wife. But I love doing solo podcasts as well. Which is, a lot of people hate doing it when they do podcasts, but I actually enjoyed it. You know?
Would she be very understanding of the way you do a lot of traveling, a lot of gigs,
yeah,
a lot of
totally,
commitments.
yeah.
Yeah.
But she's seen it like ramp up for 15 years. You know what I mean? It's not like we just met and I'm like, I'll be gone 5 nights this week. Good luck. You know, it's gradually picked up speed over the years. And she's nothing to say about it really. You know, it's like,
So
it's
she's
just a
been with
job.
you since all this started, basically.
Oh yeah, like I think there was like probably like a few. I think I maybe been in stand up for about a year or two maybe, and then we
Would
met.
she have went to your show?
Yeah,
Your shows,
she
aye.
would have went to plenty of them. Yeah, she would probably still go if we didn't have a kid and things to do. Like, but
Life takes over.
she does miss like the odd big show, and she's like, oh, I would have really liked to go to the SSE
Yeah.
show, for example. And I'm like, that's because you'd be in the VIP box.
What was that like?
The SSE.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great, and I've done it plenty of times on my own. You know,
You
I've
sold
done
it out about 6 times, is it?
6, and then we did the comedians comedy, which was another big. It was like the full hall. You know, it was like
Yeah.
7,000 people or something. And then we did the. You do start to notice when you like go into these buildings where you just know the people that are like the security men and all knocking about. You're like, well, it's
yes,
the crack,
big man,
guys,
what's
going
happening?
back again or things like that. But yeah, it was great, and we tried to keep that live podcast as close to a podcast as we could.
Yeah.
I didn't want
Was
to.
it harder to do that, do you think?
No, it felt
Nah,
fucking.
it was
It
grand.
was obviously like stressful on the day, trying to prepare everything and make sure everything was going right, and our slideshow and all that sort of business. But once we walked on, I was like, we might as well be sitting in the office here. It was very calm, and
Like that.
I think the crowd appreciate it too, because you don't want to. I don't think you want to rely on too many bells and whistles. You know, they're coming to see the Bomb Squad live podcast. Do a live podcast.
Do you
know.
feel pressure?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How do you deal with pressure?
I don't know.
Just get on
How do you
with it.
not deal with it? Just fucking keel over and die. I don't
Do you
know.
have any things that you do just in terms of like fucking breath work or anything like that there, or just fucking just plow through it?
Yeah. It's just unavoidable. You know what I mean? It's like, especially with and you'd get pressure. I'd get pressure doing laveries, and also like the SSE. It's just this thing that's just there anyway.
A lot of people thrive under pressure. Would you say you'd be like that?
Probably. It's not comfortable, but I do. You know, it doesn't feel nice in your body or your mind, but you do get a lot of good results, like fucking letting the adrenaline.
If you love the thrill of winning big, then you need to check out Our Kings Competitions, the UK and Ireland's top spot for incredible praise competitions. They're giving you the chance to win luxury cars, dream holidays, top tech, and even life-changing cash prizes, all for a fraction of the cost. And what's the best part of this? Entering is super easy, so you just need to go on, select your competition, grab your tickets, and then you're in for a shot at winning big. With guaranteed winners in every draw and some of the most amazing prizes out there, Our Kings is the place to be if you want to turn a little into a lot. So, what are you waiting for? Head over to www.ourkingscompetitions.com now and grab your tickets, and you could be our next big winner. That's Our Kings Competitions, where dreams become reality, and enter today.
So, see, when you were in the comedy game at the very, very start, what was the actual scene like itself? Was it fucking? I'd say it would have been fucking absolute chaos as well at the same time, like just starting out.
Yeah, it was basically just like the level of gig was a lot different. You know, people were just calling something a comedy night and jumping up in the corner of a bar that most of the punters didn't even know it was a comedy night.
Where would have been the Empire? Was it?
The
back then?
Empire was there, yeah, but it was, you know, it's like what the kids would call a pro club.
Yeah.
So like when I started, you'd have no business being anywhere near it, even though you were messaging them every week, like, can I get on? Can I get on? It was going to be years before they'd ever let you on, you know. So there was that. That was probably the most established one. There was different stuff popping up, like Dailies and Oma, and just a bunch of ones. Or people would just put on like one-off gigs.
Where would have been your first big gig where you've actually said to yourself, "Fuck, this is
First big one.
I think this is the one."
There's different ones like Queen's as well. Queen's Comedy Club was absolutely pumping back in the day.
All students.
Yeah, or just even people who lived around that area would just know that it was on.
Yeah.
2 minutes down the street. Because it wasn't always students. It was always like fairly mixed. But there are certain like little landmarks where you're like, oh, finally got a spot at Queen's or finally got a spot at the Empire.
The Kevin Hart one must have been cool.
It was pretty cool.
I'd say. Like, so did you open up for him for 20 shows?
Something like that, yeah. Me and Shane.
I mean, that's. I'd say that they got his fucking.
That's
a landmark right there.
It's pretty fucking cool. Like,
what was he like as a person?
well, we didn't really get speaking to him at all until like he was leaving, like the last day.
Serious?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's.
But he was shooting a movie, so he was obviously flat out and like. Fair play to him, because if I was shooting a movie for 14 hours, I certainly wouldn't be arsed going to do a set in Lavery's or something. But that was cool. Like him doing the first show, like in Lavery's, was a big deal for us. Like,
See, because you're the kind of the brains behind all that. There, was that kind of like a landmark moment as well? Just like fucking, this is your fucking kind of your show, and Kevin Hart's performing at it.
yeah, pretty much. I wish he'd come back now, because we've made so many changes to even the shape of the room and everything.
Yeah.
And Lavery's have done work to. It's way better now, but yeah, it was just weird. It was one of them things, like, I got told about it, like, you know, there's like a high profile comedian coming into Belfast, could they work their show out at your club? And I was like, and at that point I'm like, yeah, like I didn't know who it was. I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then eventually, about a week out, they told me, and even at that point I was like, all right, you know, I was like, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is going to do a show. And right up to the introduction, like, I thought it was a prank. You know, I was like, the whole time, I was like, Kevin Hart's coming Friday night or whatever, apparently. And then we'd start the show, and there was like an opener, and we just had to sort of like keep the plate spinning till we got like a flash saying that he was like actually out the back ready to go here. Which is weird too, because you're kind of just, you know, you're doing a few bits of comedy and chatting to a few people, and you're like, fucking, you know, one eye on the clock and looking over, and is this happening or what? And then I got this flash with a torch, and I had to be like, right, we've got a surprise for you folks. And even at that point, I was like, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Hart, allegedly. And then, because he was just like ushered into the building, big security guards and everything, and just right up to that moment where you're like, there he is, and then sure enough, he just walked over, and I was like, fuck it.
So it is.
So it is. And you know, all the phones were like put away. So I'm not gonna say any names. There was one sneaky video, and I actually don't really remember who took it, but I got sent a very grainy, shite video of him just walking on the stage, and me. It looked like I was picking a toddler up to put him on the stage, but yeah, that was wild.
He is small, like.
He's a small guy, you know, but.
You're a fucking beast.
Yeah.
Imagine you rugby tackled him. Fucking hell.
I know, but fucking.
He's dead.
So yeah, it started off very surreal, and then we would just have to go to these shows at the Limelight and Lavery's, and at that point it was like almost repetitive, because once you like nailed down a set, I think his management and all they were kind of like, all right, Colin does the same set, it's exactly the same length. Shane does the same set, same length. And they just wanted it they wanted the same thing and the same people.
Does the excitement fade off?
Yeah, well, there's definitely, because I knew I was doing something cool, but there's definitely some nights where like, could I be fuck driving to Belfast to do 7 minutes or 10 minutes here? You know, you leave the car running and just get back in and go home. But
the wife just stays in the car, you run in.
Yeah, but.
And now like an armed robbery.
It was definitely cool. I mean, like, it'll be a long time before I do the 3 Arena, you know, so that was cool. And, you know, just cool things like, they would build that the show was actually starting at 8 instead of like the support's on at 8 and then whatever. So when we did the likes of Dublin, the whole arena was absolutely packed when I went on. So it was like it was class. Like,
see at that stage where you're like, oh fuck, is the arena bigger than the SSE?
I think so.
Is it?
But it's a different shape. Like it's what's that sort of like amphitheater style? It's not like a long sports arena.
Yeah.
It's like actually just for shows, so it's all out in front of you like this. But it definitely helped to have done arena shows myself before. You know, it wasn't like the first time I'd ever done a big crowd, so it wasn't like totally breaking it. Like,
have you ever played in Cork or Galway? Or,
yeah.
What are they like down there? The crowds down there.
Galway's unreal. I actually kind of feel like I have a wee bit of a following in Galway, which I've like worked up over the years. You know, I remember the first gig I ever did down there was someone kind of doing a favour for someone, like, we'll let Colin on. And I did pretty well, and then I got back, and then it just kept going down. It's an absolute pain in the hole to get to, like, but just putting in the work and just turning up, and then you put on like a solo show. You're like, here's my tour show, and it's sold out, and I was like, this is unreal here, you know.
See, Big Dave Elliott, he was in Blue Lights, wasn't he?
Big Davey, aye.
Were you ever considered for anything like that, or would you go into that kind of line of work? Nah.
It's just not my cup of tea. I mean, like, even I'm such a fucking like YouTube baby that, you know, they would be like, would you like to come in and pitch some ideas to us, and like we'll go into development with that, and then maybe get it shot and get a wee budget, and then maybe find a slot for that in 18 months time. And I'm like, just do it tomorrow and put it out on Friday. Like, I'm like, what's the point? Like, it would have to be it would have to basically be a ton of money for me to be able to do whatever I want. That's the only way I would probably go into it. And I've no interest in like acting and auditioning and all that shit. Like, I've no interest at all.
Have you ever been approached to go on any of those shows or audition for any of them?
Yeah, I've definitely had a few things over the years. Like, I got an email one day about the Kneecap movie, which in hindsight I probably should have done. But again, to me, I was just like, I can't do 16 days in 2 scenes or like 2 lines over 5 scenes or something. I can't do that.
Out of your schedule, like it's like I'd say your fucking schedule's flat to the mat.
Yeah, again, depends what time of year it is. But if it hits like September, October, and I have 2 Lavery shows a week and my own tour, and the podcast, like you just have no time for anything. Like,
what's the worst and best thing about being a comedian?
There's probably loads of pros and cons. The worst thing is like you know, it doesn't matter like what mood you're in, you have to just go do it. You know, so you could be knackered or pissed off or stressed, and you still have to go. And there's been plenty of stressful times that I've like hacked my way through. Yeah. But you just have to turn up and, hey guys, you know,
put on a mask.
Yeah. So that's probably the single hardest part, is that your name's on a poster and you have to be there at a specific time, and you have to perform no matter how you feel. Like, it's not really about you at that point. Like,
I'd say with comedy, there's a good level of professionalism just because of that. Because people have paid and you literally have to perform. Like, it's fucking like
that's pressure too. And then the turnover of material. Like, you want to do well enough in Galway, and then write a whole new show and go back the next year, and hopefully those people had a good enough time that they'll come see you again. And it's got to be new. You know, it's not like songs. It has to be new stuff.
How often are you writing new material?
This is when I start to think of stand up. Is like it's more like having a disease than it is a fucking, because plenty of times and that's a luxury too. I've sort of said to myself, like, I'm maybe gonna just lay off this for a while, do the podcast, take it easy, spend a bit more time at home, and then you look at a folder in your phone and you've got like 30 notes that you've made. Like, it just happens naturally. You don't need to be like, I sit down every morning at 7 a.m. and write bits. It just happens. Once you get into the rhythm of it, you'll just be like, that's funny, boop, 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 you know. Like, we were talking earlier about, like, I don't even know if I can mention it. We were talking about something, the Bonnie Blue thing, and there was just a wee thing in my head where I was like, oh, that would be funny. I should make a wee note about that, you know. So that just happens, like, you know.
Do you have a keen ear? Like, if someone says something and you overhear them, you go,
yeah,
that's fucking, that's gold. That's gold there.
Well, that's mainly what being a comedian is just being very
on the spot,
observant, and like that's kind of what it is, you know.
See, with your new stuff now, do you think that there will translate well over to America? Because you were saying like earlier that you don't really have now it's not like really our humor. You can use the stuff like in America. How well received is that in America?
From what I've done, it's received pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if you fucking.
Is it mostly people from back home that are at these
Sometimes
shows?
it is, yeah. So, and you know, it used to be very much that, like, expat type people. Even if you went to Glasgow, and then over the years, you'd maybe be like, who's from back home? And then like 2 fellas go, yeah. And then you're like, oh, this is like all Scottish people.
Yeah.
You know, so it has like morphed over the years. And
Glasgow, they're all just sitting there with balaclavas and fucking M16s.
yeah. But it's just one of them things. Like, if you shout your pants in Belfast, it's still funny in LA. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just funny. You know, you don't have to get too specific about places.
Going back, because we talked about it before the podcast, the comedian boxing events.
Real comedy.
Real comedy. Stuff that I like, I love watching. Like, I think it's fucking class. I love how people actually take it like seriously.
Oh, yeah.
See, if one of the Boyle, if someone was supposed to go on to actually do well in boxing, who do you actually think would go on to do well or would have the best career?
None of them.
None of them. Do you think there's no one?
Well,
there
you'd have to just pick whoever's the most athletic, probably. You know, but like, I don't know. I have no idea.
You're not going to do it again, are you?
I don't know. It's one of them like
the commitment.
If I ever did it again, I would just turn up on the day and do it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's either you either take it seriously or it's going to be a fucking mess anyway. You know, so it might, you know.
It's a lot of time, like, see, especially for a man like yourself, just like flat out working, child, wife, multiple things on podcast, and then having to commit to say 3 or 4 nights a week.
Yeah.
And then sparring and stuff like that there.
And then it's also, you know, it's not a fun thing to do for a laugh. Like, the only way to get good at it is to essentially fight people in a gym repeatedly and get used to it. And like, do you want to be doing that for the crack? You know, they don't play boxing, as they say. You know, it's like
straight in.
Yeah, you don't want to be like decking about like that. But it was just one of them things. I was training, it was going all right, and then I was just kind of like, I'm not gonna get good at this at 30.
Yeah.
Like, I should have been doing it when I was 12.
There was an MMA event there in Bangor, Valor it was called, and they done one of the matches was a tag team BJJ match.
Oh my god!
And I just saw it and I was like, that's fucking insane. That is. Don't know how it went. I didn't even watch it, but I think that is.
How do you even you know? Like, if you engage with someone and you're on the floor, like, and you're on the bottom, you're like, I'd like to tag this fella, but I can't really go anywhere.
They just fucking stand in the corner. I should have watched it just to see exactly what way it would fucking go, like, but
that's nuts.
It's fucking it's mad. Like, you should do an MMA comedians night.
Oh, no.
Comedians MMA. You and Aaron Butler.
No, see, they're losing the run on themselves there. That's why we did the comedians comedy, because there'd been comedians boxing, darts, fucking stars, and all these things.
The T with me football stuff.
The football as well. But like, as a joke, I was like, just call it the comedians comedy. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Why are we trying to play
boxers
darts?
in to do comedy? I think that'd be fucking class.
Yeah.
Like,
half of them do comedy now.
Tyrone would be fucking.
Yeah.
Tyrone, like, I think it'd be good.
Yeah.
I think don't know about Frampton. Like, he seems very, very calm and reserved.
I know, but they can all switch on. Just be a wee slobber for 10 minutes. That's all they need to do, basically.
Do you think Paul Hughes could do it? I think Paul Hughes is like I watch his podcast, like his vlogs and stuff like that there. I think he's funny as fuck.
I don't know about comedy, but he's fantastic at interviewing.
He is.
You know?
Very, very good.
You know, he's great at that.
Where do you think you're going to go within the next 5 years?
I don't know. Like, I'm constantly like questioning everything all the time.
Are you constantly changing your kind of plans and mind just based on what is happening at that time?
Yeah, there's that. And then I think, like, it sounds pretty wanky, like, but I'm probably like, I feel like I'm very creative.
Yeah.
You know, from like going to art college and also, like, I'm constantly just like, I'm bored of that now. So anything like a podcast where it's like weekly and it's just repetitive, and even stand up, sometimes there's never like a sense of completion with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like doing jiu-jitsu or something. You're never gonna perfect it ever. You can always like improve.
You're striving for more.
Yeah. So same with stand up. Like, you're never gonna like fully master it. Like, that's as good as I'll ever be. Which is kind of scary. That's the good thing about it too, but it's kind of scary. The things I miss are like this something that feels like a project. Where you're like, I'm working on this. We did it. It's done. It exists now online or wherever.
Move on.
What's the next idea? You know, that's kind of what I'm craving at the minute. You know, there's, you know, like, you see the likes of the Kneecap movie and stuff, and you're like, I'd love to do like an actual fucking piece of work instead of, you know, talking shite week to week to week to week.
Would you go into production or fucking
I am in
directing?
production. You know what I mean? Technically, really, like, you know, it's just a different type of it.
Would you ever do like a screenplay or anything like that there? Or, 'cause that, like that's a project in itself there.
Yeah, like we did. But again, it's the time thing. It's like you need everything else to stop for you to like focus on that. We did one of the arena shows I did. We did the Blender Lost Tapes, which was essentially a short film. You know, it's like I thought it was going to be like, you know, 15 or 20 minutes. It ended up being like 35 minutes, and it was, you know,
Well received.
I think so. Yeah. You know, I remember like we'd play it before the show, and then it'd have a break, and then I'd do the stand up. But you know, it's getting big laughs like a comedy movie would in a cinema. You know, and it was more or less a film production. Like, you know, it was script and finding locations and.
See, that's one thing which I always like wondered. See all that I Am Fighter stuff. Was that like improvised or was it like scripted as well?
A lot of it was, yeah, like the words in the moment were probably improvised.
Yeah.
There was no like word for word script, but you would just do a bit of a treatment and, you know, this is where we start and where we go.
Yeah.
Type thing.
See, with all this Barry the Blender stuff, and you done like the likes of fucking I'm Not an Actor. It's like it was like the
Oh yeah, just we one off sketch type things. Yeah.
like stuff like that. Have you ever had any, because you play mad characters in terms of Barry and the Blender, have you ever had any weird encounters with people, like fans and stuff that are fans of Barry the Blender, or even just comedy fans in general? Like,
Yeah, well, yeah, there's always a bit of that. Like,
any memorable ones?
just weird stuff. I remember Kieran Bartlett reminded me of a thing one time where we'd done Lavery's and went for food, and there was a guy by himself in the corner of this place. I forget the name of it. It's not even there anymore. Just over from Lavery's, and he finished his food and he got up and he came over and he was like, Colin, and he put his hand out and I shook his hand and he was like, I don't know whether he was drunk or he panicked or whatever, but he went, it's been a pleasure watching you eat. And then he left and I was like, what's going on here?
You could at least pay for it, for fuck's sake.
No. But yeah, there's loads of wee things like that, you know, and then just a lot of, you know, over the top especially fellas from here, like they would never just go like, all right, man, I'm big. Well, some of them do, but they'd never be like, just honest about it. Like, oh, I like your videos, man. Can I get a photo? And you're like, yeah, no, sweat, man. You get a photo. It's always like, right, you big fucking baldy dickhead. Here, fucking. My cousin thinks you're good, apparently. Fucking, do you want to get a photo of me? And you're like, all right, mate, you made it weird today. No, I absolutely don't want to take a photo with you. But yeah.
I was saying the Aaron Butler, do you know the DJ Symmetrics?
Yeah.
And two lads from the Shangle, but they said that they have this fan that shows up to every single one of their gigs and just blows a whistle to a certain tune, and it says it annoys the fuck out of them and they hate it. Do you have any fans or any like super fans that fucking that mean fucking no harm?
They mean well, but
they mean well, but they're just fucking like menaces at the same time.
Not really.
No.
Not to that extent. No. You do see people. I've seen people at gigs, and I've seen them way too many times in a short period of time, and I'm like, bro, what are you coming here for? You know, I'm like working on the same set here, trying to polish it up. You're gonna see the same fucking thing, like.
And they're still clapping as enthusiastically as possible.
Yeah. But then they're you know, technically they're fans, so you gotta just go with it, like. But there's, I mean, especially with Lavery's, there's all sorts of weirdos and people getting chucked out and causing a scene and whatever.
Do you have any American tours like coming up?
No, it's something I'm sort of working on. I mean, obviously, like, just life happens, you know, kids and fucking whatever. But it's something I'd like to do. You know, I'd probably have more interest in that than like a regional tour this year.
Would you have see for the likes of that, or do you contact them yourself, the bars or the clubs, and then just fucking kind of get that all aligned together?
No, I would probably work with like a promoter. Just let them do it. I could.
Yeah. That cuts out fucking everything. Yeah. I'm talking shit.
Yeah. I could do it myself, yeah, but sometimes you're just like, nah, you do it. You deal with the back and forth emails for a month, and then
I'm going to New York next Paddy's Day for 6 days, so it'd be great to see you there.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Hopefully there's a bit of fucking boxing and stuff like that there. I'd love my dream for next Paddy's Day, and this it sounds mad as a 28-year-old male saying this. I would love McConnell to be fighting next like Paddy's Day in fucking Madison Square Gardens or something. That'd be. And here, I think it could be.
sure
a
he'd like that too.
I think he would. But that there would be fucking class. Like just Paddy's Day in New York. Fucking.
Yeah, that would be unreal. I remember Aaron saying, because he lives over there. He's like, if you're an Irish comedian and you're not spending a month in America around Paddy's Day, you're a fucking idiot. Because they just absolutely clean up. Like,
See, that's fucking.
he was going to like Vancouver and back to New York and doing all these big, huge like Irish comedy gigs. You know.
Has he ever done the Joe Rogan one down in like his comedy club?
No, I don't think
Nah.
so. No.
Would you do that? Well, obviously, if you were
love to.
offered, like,
Yeah.
like,
We
are
went
you
to-
able to go and?
We went to Austin before that club opened, and we did like the Creek and the Cave and stuff, which was pretty easy procedure. Like, we just messaged and we're like, "Hey, we're in town. Could we get a spot?" And they, you know, I do it myself. On average, you take a quick glance at the Instagram, and you're like, "Oh, they look pretty legit." Going ahead. You
See,
know?
because your Instagram, I'm following, is it easier for you to get replies from the likes of like places like that? Do you think? 'Cause you
Yeah,
do have a
probably,
massive like social media following.
It's not even that massive, like, compared to other people, you know. But I
It's-
don't play the game that well, you know. I don't put up 3 reels a day, like.
Would you do your social medias yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pain in the arse. I do the social medias on this year one, and fuck, it does be a pain in the arse at times.
It's one of them things. Like, I think when you hit like a certain age, you go, why would I be dicking about on Instagram for 12 hours? You know, I feel like I'm nearly aged out of it. I'm just like, fuck
I
it.
find myself down dark holes with reels. I'll click on
yeah.
the reel, and that algorithm will have me there for 2 hours. Just
100%.
I'll be questioning 9/11, fucking the JFK murder, just saying Mossad killed fucking
Epstein or
I'm
something.
Martin Luther King Jr. and all. And I'm just saying, going, what, like, last night I was on it and I was just sitting there and I was going, I have just went into the darkest holes. I was speaking to Matt about this year before, just about how Mossad are involved in everything.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to fucking shut down this podcast probably after me saying this.
No doubt, yeah.
And I was just sitting there just going, fuck me, there is just so much madness that my brain can consume. And I'll
You're
believe
3
it as
hours
well.
in, you're like, Kanye has a few points now.
Just I was watching a video on your man Aidan Ross. Do you know that he's like a
Yeah,
streamer?
yeah.
And one of his mates just sitting there going, like Kanye's new song, and I was just like, sitting there going, he's doing this live. I was just like, he is going to get so much backlash. Is there any conspiracy theories that you do believe are true?
God.
Because there's so much. So much
I mean, I
ones.
do. Yeah, I'm the same with those fucking wormholes. Like, see, I remember when Netflix did that like Epstein documentary where I was balls deep. I was fucking watching like homemade documentaries on YouTube and all.
I'd be the same.
It's always the pedo stuff.
It's
I don't know. It's so dark that I'm like, oh god.
The pedo and the murder and stuff, like fucking
Pedo and
all
murders.
these murders.
That's the name of this podcast.
The pedos and murders.
Oh, that's Jimmy
Bonnie
Savile
Blue,
stuff and all. I was
pedos,
just like
murders.
absolutely glued to it all night.
Did you ever see this Cecil Hotel in America?
Yeah, I've seen
that
that
there
one.
one. That's fucking
Yeah.
like your wee Japanese girl found
Yeah,
dead in the
yeah.
fucking. That place is metal.
I know sometimes they look into it a bit too much, you know, when you're just like, it's just a dodgy hole like
But
anywhere else.
maybe that's what they want you to think.
Oh fuck.
Know what I mean, bro? Know what I mean?
You've had too many Nescafes.
You don't know the stuff that's going on. The real war's in my mind. But you find yourself YouTube, like on TikTok as well. Like I don't think like TikTok though is that as intense as like I watched one fucking reel on the third rig and my algorithm for the next 40 videos is just fucking Hitler shooting at me. So what the fuck are you
I
doing?
know, you can be taken like in any direction. I don't even go on TikTok anymore. I posted the first stand-up clip I've posted in a long time yesterday and just immediately just slagged to death about everything. Why do his knees look weird? Either like his knees are pointing, I'm standing like this, and they're like, your knees are pointing different directions. So you're like, yes.
I went on to it for the first time
stand
and like a while to actually look at the comments on some of our videos and
Yeah.
there was someone commented about a guest that we had on previously going, he never talks about his job. Why is that? And I was just like, what the fuck am I supposed to know?
Yeah, I'll get back to you.
I'll get back to you on that. He's hiding something. And I was just like, what the fuck goes on? Like I was well, obviously, like I was over in Lebanon last year.
You don't talk about your job, is that what they meant?
No, fucking someone else.
someone else.
I don't want to say his name because he's an absolute gentleman too as well.
Right.
But I was over in Lebanon and I put up just a video just saying about what's going on in the podcast over the next wee while, just because I'm away. And someone commented going away invading other people's countries and all. And I'm just like, I'm a peacekeeper, man. I try to keep the peace here.
Yeah.
And then
You know what Ireland are like for storming countries?
and then fucking Mossad comes out. The Israelis invade. It always goes back to Mossad. Everything.
Well, heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Now the real shit.
Quickfire.
The quickfire. So, bro, we're just going to jump into the quickfire questions here. So, the best non-Irish comedian.
Oh, fuck, now? Dead or alive? Or
Nah, alive now.
the best comedian in the world? You see, there's different sort of levels to that, even, because you've got, like, legends, and then you've got guys that are, like, unbelievable
If
future
you had to
legend
go
type
and
things.
watch someone right now, who are you going to watch?
Probably Chappelle.
Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle. I think he's kind of the best in the world. But then, you know, people would argue like Louis C.K. too, but then he's had his troubles.
His troubles.
So people change their opinion, but probably Chappelle, like every time he drops something, you're like, God, what am I even playing at? You know.
Who is the best comedian in your group? The way there's like yourself, Willie, Shane,
Yeah.
they're like just like in the NI comedy scene. Who do you think is the best comedian?
The best.
You can even say yourself.
It's I would be the best at whatever I'm the best at. You know, it's very much like that. So that, you know, you could go through the comedians.
They all have their
and they have their
own.
own quality that's better than everyone else. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, you know, I have my favourites. You know, like good mates with Mark McCartney. I think he's a fucking genius.
Who do
know?
you think's the most naturally gifted?
Mickey?
Mickey.
Yeah,
Like
Mickey
I
would
asked
do
that
a
the other
gig over there to me and you on
class.
2 seconds' notice. Like he's just always on. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And like constant jokes, natural performer. Yeah, and I think anyone you ask would probably say that.
Who is the best up and coming comedian to keep your eye out for?
I would still say Mark McCartney because he started a bit older, so you get this feeling. But on paper, I think he only did stand up for about a year before the pandemic. So then he missed fucking 2 years,
Yeah.
and he's only been doing it since. And
Still relatively new compared to the likes
still
of yourselves.
relative compared to me, you know,
Yeah.
or Shane or Mickey or anybody. But I think he's brilliant. Like whatever, anything he touches, you're just like, why is that so funny? Or he'll panic about new material and go up and absolutely kill. Like
Kill
he's
it.
been doing it on tour for 50 gigs.
Unreal.
He's class. Like
Where's your go-to takeaway?
where I live, out in the sticks,
Nah, Belfast.
Belfast.
Wee bit of like promotion for someone here.
Bit of promotion.
Bit of promotion.
In Belfast, best takeaway. Trying to think what we usually order food when we're at the
At the gigs.
at the studio. It depends, like
Good few pizza places up that way as well.
yeah.
A pizza crew.
Flout
Nice.
obviously send us some pizzas for gigs.
Do they?
It is
Lovely.
it is absolutely outrageous. Like,
On the house.
on the house.
The
Peter's
now
big
that's
fan.
a pro. The pros and cons from earlier.
Oh yeah,
That
that's
is
a
your
pro, yeah.
that's your pro.
Aye, the other pro, you don't pay for drink or pizzas anyway. Yeah,
That's unreal.
yeah.
Get me there.
Peter's a big fan. Shout out.
If
Shout
you're
out
looking at
Flout.
any security or anything like that there, I can recommend someone, but I'll go with them as
Yeah.
well. Your favourite movie? Doesn't have to be a comedy film.
Swingers.
Swingers?
Have you ever seen it?
Nah.
It's like an early sort of Vince Vaughn, John Favreau
Vince
thing.
Vaughn's funny as fuck.
But it's like I remember seeing it on like terrestrial TV in the middle of the night, and I was like, "This is fucking class. What is this?" And I didn't even get the name of it. You know, it wasn't like in the internet days where you're like, "What is this movie?" or fucking, you know, just look something up or TV Guide or something. And I had to like wait till years later till I'd seen
no
it
way.
again by accident, and I didn't even know it was the same movie. And then I was like, "Oh, this is
That's
the movie."
fucking it.
And it's great if you watch it, you just kind of see like, you know, and then you think about the movies that came after it. You're like, this is obviously like a big inspiration for that whole wave of movies that were coming.
Is it
out
like
after.
old school? Like I love old school. Like Vince Vaughn's not there.
Yeah, it's not quite as like straight comedy as
Yeah.
that, but it's unreal. Like
Are you into the old swinging yourself?
swinging. No.
Yeah.
What would happen if I turned up at a swingers party?
People like,
Everyone will be like, oh, that's it. That's our time there.
There's Barry.
Are
Barry
you doing the
Blender.
door, are you?
Big man, not tonight. Let's go. So your favourite series?
Oh, God. I mean, like, there's loads of series that I like, but probably the one that I was absolutely fucking binging to death was Yellowstone.
I've heard good things. I've
Yeah.
never watched it, but I've heard really good
Again,
things
on
about it.
paper, it's a hard sell. You know, you're like, oh, it's these fucking cowboys and whatever. And then started watching it, and it was the only one where I've been like, you know, the series that were already out. Me and my wife were like, you know, you're sitting there, you know, you're going to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, it's 1 o'clock, and you're like, do we watch one more? Please give me one more. We were just absolutely rinsing through it.
What
like.
time setting is it? The time period?
Oh, it's modern.
It's modern?
Yeah,
No.
they have another series which is like, I forget the date. It's like,
1873,
something
I think.
like that. One of them dates.
I've
But I never get into that. I was like, I've no interest in that. But whatever it is about that modern day thing, I loved it. Like.
You love it?
Absolutely loved it.
Your favourite book?
Let me just remember the one book I've ever read. I don't know. Like, I'm not a big book guy, and I definitely don't like fiction. So a lot of the information that I would be reading for, I could just get in like a documentary or something
yeah,
like that.
100%.
So it's a lot of documentary type things. Books, honestly, like, I'm just gonna seem like a total idiot, like, but I absolutely loved the Anthony Bourdain book, The Kitchen Confidential,
There we go. We'll
which
get
is
that
also
there.
unbelievable on audiobook because I've heard it about 3 times at this point. But it's great.
Your death row meal, 3 courses.
We joked about this in the bomb squad, but whatever's gonna make me shit the hardest when they kill me. Just fucking
One
12,
last fuck
12
you.
cans of Stella and a Vindaloo. Just be like, good luck with that.
Enjoy that. You just can't.
No, but like probably if I could source like the best things I've ever eaten, it would be stuff from all over the place. Like, I remember being in Vietnam and getting this. It was like a lemongrass pork chop thing with just rice and a fried egg,
Fuck yeah.
and it was dead simple. And I remember eating it, just being like, that's the best thing
That's
I've ever
great.
eaten in my life. So probably something like that.
Where's like your starter though as well? Need your starter.
I'll need
and
the
your
starter.
Starter and a dessert.
Oh God,
Because this is where you really get to know someone.
starter.
This tells a lot about a person.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I was in Edo in Belfast, and they do. You know what's good as a starter? Just those like padron peppers. Do you ever get them?
Oh fuck.
It's just a bowl of like, sort of like
Do you like your spice?
flame grilled. They're not even spicy.
No.
No. They're just like flame grilled, these wee sweet peppers, and it's just unbelievable as a wee starter at the side.
Oh yeah, I'd like that there.
Yeah.
Wee bit of garlic mayo on the side.
Nah, got it.
I'm a big garlic mayo guy.
Big garlic
I'm
mayo.
an absolute slag for garlic mayo.
Nah, I got put off at one time when I had a hangover. And I
You don't drink it though.
I felt very ill, and then I went for something with garlic mayo on it, and it ruined it for me.
And then it's just been downhill since then.
Yeah, I never touched it ever again.
And your dessert?
Oh dear. I don't like a big heavy dessert. I like a wee, like a trio of sorbets. You know what I mean? Like a wee.
Like ice cream. And
No, just
wee bit-
sorbet. You know, like it's like there's no cream in it, but it feels like an ice cream. You ever get a sorbet?
Nah.
Had it on
That's-
holidays a few times.
I think that's because you're outside Belfast now, you're sophisticating yourself more.
That's
it's
it. Nah, you get sorbet here.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
you don't get that not in Ardoyne.
No,
I don't think.
you don't get it where I live.
I don't
you
think
would,
they import it there.
you would be going to like the Moy Inn or whatever, like some carvery place and get the sorbet.
You're a sorbet or a big man.
But I've had a few,
Don't
you know.
know.
I was in Mexico on honeymoon, got a few
Good.
sorbets, like it's banging. You don't want to be eating a fucking cheesecake or something. Keep it light.
Oh fuck no, cheesecake's great. Nice like Oreo one.
Aye, but after the dinner.
Oh, fuck yeah, I'm still tanking it.
Yeah.
Oh, a few Guinnesses deep now.
Yeah.
Fuck, you're tanking
Sorbet,
everything.
Guinness,
Sorbet.
cheesecake.
Right now, drop it there. And last question to go with your meal. The people around the table to eat dinner with, dead or alive, who you going?
Oh, fuck, it's hard not to just say your immediate family, isn't it? Like, but
No, like no media
it's-
family
it's gotta
allowed.
be
Because
famous people.
like I would do that as well. Like I would say that as well.
Anthony Bourdain, that'd be a good one. Big fan of him. I'm trying to think now. Probably like a Dave Chappelle, something
Chappelle.
like a comedian, or like a Bill Burr or something like that.
Someone to bring the mood up.
Bring the mood up, yeah.
Because especially if there's dead people there, I think it's not going to be
Yeah.
very festive.
Bourdain's no crack at all.
Usually the old Hart stopping will
yeah.
will put a stop to it. Like,
Trying to think, maybe some music people or something. How many was it? 5?
3.
3?
So you got what, like
Bourdain, Chappelle.
You don't want it, like MJ if you wanted, or here did I?
MJ, dinner with MJ.
P Diddy, Sean
I throw
Combs.
P Diddy in there.
P.
That would be,
Diddy.
yeah, that's my third answer. Diddy would be great crack at that.
But just make sure he's not pouring your drinks.
No.
You'll be waking up with a sore arse. Question. Well, actually, last question for the podcast.
Yeah.
If you woke up, right?
Yeah.
You woke up with a condom hanging at your arse. Would you tell anyone?
No.
No. No, because I asked someone this yesterday and they were like, no, and I was like, I would neither. Like, I would not tell a single soul. Be going around fucking holding that in, just farting condom falls out.
Is there not an end to that joke?
No, fuck no. That's just no, that's a question. And like,
Well, here's my version of that, right?
right,
Woke up in the forest, condom hanging out of your hole.
right.
Would you tell anyone about it? Honestly.
No, because you're gonna say to me, "Do you want to go to the forest?"
Yeah, do you want to go camping?
I stay away from people like that.
I'm a
Me
comedian,
saying
you see, so you got to get your material from somewhere.
Oh man, 100%
I have plenty of mates, me included, that you'll do stuff just for the story, like.
class.
So,
That's-
you know, if it happened to any of my mates, they'd wake up and just go, and be like, there's another 15 minutes written. Happy days.
Have you ever actually done anything like something mental just because you knew this is gonna be good material?
Agreed to doing that. Just nothing too crazy, like, but just different experiences. Like, you know, you go, someone's like, oh, do you want to go fucking, like we were talking earlier, like co-steering or go do something stupid, and you're like, nah, I'll go do that and see what
fuck
happens.
it,
Yeah.
You could get
Yeah.
something good from that there.
Like Aaron McCann there will do absolutely anything.
Think
Just-
you'll go camping in the forest?
Of course. He woke up in a forest. He got hammered on absinthe one time and like woke up in a forest in Cookstown or something. True story.
I respect that hustle.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Well, bro, thank you very much for coming in. I really
No worries,
appreciate it.
mate.
Absolute gentleman.
No worries.
you.
Thank you.